Welcome to this Coffee with Dragon, yours truly special edition. It is Thursday, November 14th. Tomorrow is the full moon for that 3 days until Sunday. Yours truly, gotta commence begin with gratitude that I have this. Yours truly, a little bit of that milk. Thank you, farmers, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, all involved in the production and the distribution of that food. Warehouse workers, those who pick up the garbage, public sanitation workers. LOV from this rainbow dragon, yours truly, played out black and white and rainbow. For the farmers, butchers, bakers, daycare workers, electricians, and the plumbers, and the construction workers on the road. Truckers across the collective North American civilizational complex. Let's get that North American collective workers party going. Let's get that North American collective workers party going. Let's get that North American collective workers party going for those in the warehouses, butchers, bakers, and of course, respect and LOV. I wouldn't last an hour a day in those fast food making those hamburgers, cheeseburgers, double cheese, triple cheese, and those salads and those fries. Mad love, give them a raise, a little bit of a raise, please, because of course the prices have been increasing, and I've been calling during COVID for more than 4 years and a half now, almost 5 years now. I'm grateful, thankful I got this. Yours truly, milk to put in the coffee. Usually I drink it black, but now I'm going to put a little bit of that milk because I had a little tiny of that milk, so we got to be grateful for the things that we have. Grateful, thankful. Today, carpe diem every day since I died of COVID. Today, it is November 14th, and I got to put a little bit of a below my coffee because I got a new table, and I want to paint it that rainbow colors, red, purple, orange, and of course some of that red is got on the bottom. But of course I got it a few weeks ago. It was a donation. Thank you for the donation. It looks a bit like a circus, but it's kind of food. So on the table I put first and foremost trillions of kisses, 718 trillions of kisses. Every full moon I get additional trillions, 156 trillions. I say trillions. A trillion is 1,000 billion. Do the math. That's kisses I got first and foremost. Credited from the forgotten goddess. Yes, I did say GODDSS. Forgotten goddess, GODDSS. I will to build the forgotten goddess temple. Forgotten Goddess Temple on the Canadian-US border. Let's go parallel, hand in hand for that. North American Imperial People's Coliseum, the North American Imperial People's Coliseum, the North American Imperial People's Coliseum, the North American Imperial People's Coliseum is something that I will to construct. Builders, construction workers, I got a crane fetish, yours truly, over time, every time with yours truly, I'm going to go more than 12 rounds today. 12 rounds times 3, that's 36 minutes. That's how me and Donald Trump are going to get it going ASAP. Let's go by December 24th. Let's make it December 24th. Dragon versus Trump event for the financing of the dream, the public-private partnership centrist dream, the pro-labor love revolutionary centrist for LOV. It gives me hope when I know somebody's gonna make LOV and with consent. Hug like you never hugged with consent before. That is the main message. Thank you, farmers, butchers, bakers, daycare workers, all those changing some of those smelly diapers in the daycares, the butchers, the truckers, the nurses, the doctors, those grocery store clerks, chopping up some of those warehouses, and of course encouraging all to work out, train, exercise. I've been on a fitness journey on my own for more than 7 years ago when I crossed Canada coast to coast. That event in my life really turned my whole life around. I was depressed and suicidal. I crossed Canada coast to coast, and I established a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians when I crossed Canada coast to coast, and of course that was an event which completely turned my life around. I started working out, training, exercising, lost between 80 pounds and 93 pounds, and 5 years ago, I'm marking 5 years, of course, since I predicted an international conflagration. Because if you don't know, if I am a geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, I'm an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, and of course I have Asperger's, HFA, high functioning autism, and of course being an Aspie means that I have obsessive interest, and my holy trinity of obsessive interest is geopolitics. It is the study, the analysis is this morning, every morning, of course, until it's a constant thing with us Aspies, our obsessive interest at one point or the other. Even when we interact with others, we're eagerly to discuss geopolitics. And of course I am a North American Quebecer, Canadian, North American geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist who has predicted what's happening now unfolding across the world in international conflagration. I predicted it back in October 2019, and of course I have proof of work because I have the video online where I made that prediction, and I had a confluence of several scenarios, several level of analysis, and I predicted that international conflagration back in 2019 in October. So it's been 5 years since I'm marking that event in my life. Of course, unfortunately, it was a kind of dire prediction, and a bit of severe on this more severe side, but nonetheless, I am marking that. So I'm going to celebrate that 5 years, because I also have protocols and initiatives as a philosopher for the defense collective of the collective North American civilizational complex of what I call North America. But North America, as a philosopher, I put it as a collective North American civilizational complex, because we are a civilizational complex, an emergent civilizational complex, which of course is not divorced, but is distinct from Western civilization in several parallels of culture, sports, and of course the geography. We got two oceans, and of course I am marking 5 years, as I said, since I predicted an international conflagration back in 2019. So to the farmers, to the butchers, to the truckers, to those teaching some of those high school mathematics, geography, whatever is being taught, a little bit of that mathematics, math, history, a little bit of that geography, science, physics, and phys ed, with the teachers of North America. Gotta get that LOV, gotta get that LOV. And I am calling for the implementation and the adoption of my workout training program system, which is simple, effective, and efficient, which I created back in 2019, parallel to go hand in hand with a World War III scenario, which requires no equipment, to be part of the school curriculum. Maybe even 3 times a week, every 3 times a week, Monday, let's say Wednesday and Friday, my general war integrated total body training system, aka the Dragon workout system. It is a fun workout training program to do. It is a fun workout program system to do, which I created to be simple, effective, and efficient back in 2019, and of which myself have performed more than 372 online. You can see my workouts here in this room, office, and temple. And of course, I'm grateful, thankful, here in this room, office, and temple on the ground. And I'm grateful. I cannot have open doors, it's too small here. I cannot have open doors, but open doors in the public. When I go to the mountain, probably gonna go later, I'll do some workout, Dragon versus Trump style, to the mountain, on the mountain, Mount Royal, my second home. Please, if you go there, do not pollute, because we got flora. And last week I went and I saw a lot of replanting, a lot of trees were planted. So I gotta salute the workers, the brains and the muscle who planted those trees. It takes some of that sweat, how much work and labor it takes. Imagine now, just to build this complex civilizational structure of North America, all the highways, all the terrain. And I always gotta give some LOV to the workers of Hydro-Quebec. Of course, Hydro-Quebec workers of the past 20th century who, of course, built more than 63 dams. And we opened up last year the new ones, and we need to build more ones, because it's clean, zero pollution, zero emission efficiency. So if you come in Montreal, Quebec, please take that knowledge. If you're a tourist coming in Montreal, Metropolis Island, 2.5 million people, not just to come see the Habs game, I hope, but to see the whole city and to go on Mount Royal, to see the Belvedere, and to see all the way to the United States, where yours truly, my American brothers and sisters, are always welcome. Everybody across the world in Montreal, Hawk Island. And of course, I was born in the USA 3 times. Past 70, 76, as I am a believer of reincarnation. I was twice born as a man. I served in the United States Army, the same army, 156 years apart. And once a woman, you got to read that George Patton's Through a Glass Darkly. And I believe reincarnations, and I'm a mystic who believes in reincarnations. And I say, bury me with Papa Crowley. You third me up in New Jersey, you third me up in Mount Royal, and a third me up in the city of the pyramids, and the third. That's 33.333%, of course. Split it up, but encourage all to work out, train, exercise. And what gives me hope, and when I see people hugging and kissing and dancing freely, and the youth, the joyous. Yesterday I was seeing the youth joyous, and that's important for me, the joy of the youth. And of course, I am financially stressed. I'm about $10,000 in debt, and I applied to several positions, several employments. I'm still waiting for responses, and it's been, of course, a few years since, of course, I've been working on my Asperger's symptoms, my HFA, high functioning autism. Of course, it's high functioning, and Asperger's is not a mental illness. It is a neurological mental divergent condition, which makes me predisposed to obsessive interest and to repetitive repeating the same sentence twice, 3 times, and echolalia, and getting too close to comfort in conversation with certain individuals. So that is what Asperger's is. It is not a mental illness. It is a neurological mental divergent condition. It's not a mental illness. It is not a mental illness. It is a neurological mental divergent condition, which makes Aspies predisposed to certain obsessive interests, certain weird behaviors and societal communications. And of course, I got to give a shout out to a great help, Aspie World, love you. If you play that Rainbow, Bi-Curious, ever, whatever the case may be, Aspie World, big hugs has helped me in the past 44 plus months since I've accepted, because for more than 7 years, for several people have been told me, you have Asperger's, you're an Aspie, you have high functioning autism. And for like 3.5 years, I denied it. And then finally during COVID, 44 months ago, I said, yeah, that's has been my journey being an Asperger's, being an Aspie, and of course struggle with chronic employment and lost a lot of friends. Making friends with benefits only now. Friends with benefits only now. Friends with benefits only now. Pledge your allegiance, legions. Thou art a family. Please, millionaires, give some charity. And it's Dragon versus Trump calling all to support this independent Aspie. Got to give a shout out to a fellow Aspie who give a donation about $25.44, $25.44 about 5 months ago. But I appreciate it. I bought food with it, and I'm grateful, thankful. I got food, I got coffee, I got a little bit of sweets. Do I still have some sweets? Yeah, I got some jam, and I got some biscuits. So, because after my workout, I always like to indulge a little bit of that sweets. But you know what's more important? For me, primarily, what I will to build is the Forgotten Goddess Temple. In a non-sectarian manner, the Forgotten Goddess Temple, parallel to the North American People's Imperial Coliseum. Let's go NFL National Football League, NHL National Hockey League, NBA National Basketball Association, MLB. Please, NFL National Football League, NHL National Hockey League, NBA National Basketball Association, MLB. Please reduce by 44.9%, by 44.9%, by 44.9% the cost of the tickets, the cost of the tickets, please. That's my calculation to be able to be in parallel of course communication and the parallel reduction of the tickets. That's what needs to be done. 44.9%, about 44.9%, 44.9%, that's what needs to be done about reduction of those tickets, of course, by 44.9%. That's what needs to be reduced in order to be able and be affordable for the majority of the population, since of course 2020 February, March, many prices have been increasing. And of course I've noticed myself in the products that I buy, usually mostly food, eggs, milk, of course butter, and the wafers I buy, and of course bacon and other products have been of course on the increase. So as the salaries have not kept up, the majority of the salaries have not kept up, my estimated cost is that it needs to be reduced. The tickets of the NFL tickets, National Football League tickets, NHL National Hockey League tickets, NBA National Basketball Association tickets, and MLB tickets need to be reduced by 44.9%. And please also give free tickets to the public workers, especially the nurses, the firefighters. LOV to our firefighters, the public workers, those who pick up the garbage. Salutations, LOV, pick up the garbage. That's public work, and they're athletes as well, on those big machines, big trucks. It's an athlete work. It's so much work and labor. Just all those trucks, imagine, just to have public sanitation. Salutation to the garbage collectors, public workers who pick up the garbage, the compost, the recycling. I got those three services in me, of course, three services myself, which I'm grateful, thankful for. And I got a salute and LOV. And if you see me roaming around, I usually wear some of that red, my favorite color. I'm an androgynous, pansexual, rainbow, dragon, play that black and white and rainbow. You want some kisses? Kisses I got by the trillions hugs, but gotta get it on that XYZ. And I have Asperger's, so you need to be, if I do commence discussing about geopolitics, you need to tell me that you're not interested. And with Aspies, you need to be more direct, and that's how we communicate in a more efficient and direct manner, because we're weird, we're neurodivergent. But and I have my own survival of course trauma. Survived COVID was like death, pestilence, and disease when I have it. 2020 February, March was like death, pestilence, and disease. I know it sounds like a hardcore death metal rock and roll song, but that's how I felt. And I died right here in this room of Sun Temple. I'm being reborn here, workout, train, exercise. And when I go to the mountain, I get flashes of my past lives and incarnations, when sometimes was born a man, sometimes was born a woman. But now I get that rainbow, and what brings me joy, the youth, especially when I see the youth singing, dancing in the streets. Let my children dance and shake it. Shake their hands and shake their booty freely in the streets, in the sunlight and the starlight, at night, safely on the streets. Across there in North America, you know it, with the firefighters and the butchers and the bakers and the nurses, we salute. And we LOV those construction workers, because they build it. Those buildings high and up, on the sky rises we build it. Motor house construction workers, I need for my Forgotten Goddess Temple, and in parallel to the Forgotten Goddess Temple, I will to build the North American Imperial People's Coliseum. And me, the House of the Dragon, simple, austere, severe, scarlet, red, crimson is the same color. It's a shades of red, crimson, and scarlet are shades of red. But that's why I will to build in the pyramid here in Mount Royal. And of course, the Forgotten Goddess Temple. That's what I will to build. And let's go NFL, supported construction workers and the North American Imperial people, North American People's Imperial Coliseum. Let's build together the North American People's Imperial Coliseum. Let's build together the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, a mega structure on the Canadian-U.S. border. For the alliance, the North Americans, we're North Americans, we got coast to coast, and we're gonna play that defense like that hardball ball. We're gonna play that defense like that hardball ball. We're gonna play that defense like that hardball ball. Hardball ball meaning when my 49ers lost to the Ravens, when of course they were more defensive by only 3 points, and of course my 49ers hardball ball is known as the blackout ball, also aka the blackout ball a few years ago. And you know, I love dancing, is my favorite sport, but I also love gridiron, and today I would love to, my next expenditure for sports gear would be the Victoire. Professional Women's Hockey League, Professional Women's Hockey League, Professional Women's Hockey League. They rock. I really love. They play so good, but of course they don't make as much money. But if I would be a millionaire, I would definitely buy out. That was one of my dreams. If I have millions, I will get. Let's say if I could afford whatever. Of course, I'm not totally altruistic. I'm for myself, but I'm for the others as well. I don't pretends to be only for the self and not only giving and altruistic. But I would, of course, if I would have millions, I would buy 156. If I could afford more, I would buy more. But if I would have some millions or billions, and millions are different, right? A billion is 1,000 million. A billion is 1,000 million. So millionaires and billionaires is a different levels of the mathematical numerology involved. But nonetheless, if I could afford, I would support by buying the Victoire, the Professional Women's Hockey League of Montreal. And of course, there's 6 leagues. I'll buy from the 6. I'll buy from the 6. I'll buy from the 6 and distribute it across North America. Please, billionaires, millionaires, do that act. That would be such a great act. That would how it would be to do by action, you know, something by action to support my fellow sisters, of course, in the sports leagues, and for the buying of Victoire. That's gonna be my next purchase, the Victoire, Professional Women's Hockey League, and of course my North American Integrated Dance League is something that I will to foundation cooperation with women's sports and men's sports, with women's sports and men's sports, with women's sports and men's sports, of course, and the North American Integrated Dance League, aka the Dancing Goddess Army, aka the Dancing Goddess Army, aka the Dancing Goddess Army, the DGA, for purpose and the environment, of course, to be inclusive, you know, non-binaries and the third gender, other gender, like myself. I am androgynous. I get that 50-50, you know. I consider myself other gender or androgynous gender, if you will, androgynous. But we can make a compromise, you know, on the gender question by 50-50, that there are some people who do not fall under the binary spectrum, and that's it. That's all rock and roll in the left, right, and center. Sometimes we make great compromises, we make great collective agreements, and we reach in the center, and we're able to reach some consensus at the table, sometimes from the left and from the right, and in the center by the rainbow, and the black and the white and the rainbow, and the black and the white and the rainbow, the black and white and the rainbow. And please, call it a heart, a charity. One of my dreams, of course, today, if I would be a billionaire, I was fantasizing on my words to the mountain that I had 44 billion, 44 billion, 44 billion, and 44 billion. 10% of 44 billion is going to be 4.4 billion, 4.4 billion. So a billion is 1,000 million. So that's 4,004 billion, 10%. 44 billion is 44,000 million, because a billion has 9 zeros. So if I would have had 44 billion, I would have started taking 10%. That's 4.4 billion, and that would have been 9 zeros. That's 4,000 million. When Donald Trump got elected, until December 23rd, 24th, December 23rd or 24th, until December 23rd or 24th, I would have went incognito, you know, really with a hoodie, incognito, and to homeless people, to vulnerable people, to whatever the case may be, black, white, brown, whatever, North America, across Canada, US, across Canada, US, across Canada, US. I would have went incognito, coast to coast, would have taken the train, whatever, and would have went and said, this is 50,000. This is 44,718 US and 50,000 Canadian. A check or whatever, cash, said, this is, I whispered, this is your second chance. This is your second chance. I would have whispered, this is your second chance. I would have whispered, this is your second chance. This is your second chance. This is your second chance. That's what I whispered. I said, this is my redemption to you. I would have done that. I would have wanted to do that just because everybody deserves second, third chances. And with that money, 50,000, they could have rented a room, a square, an apartment for 3 years or so. They would have rented an apartment or room for 3 years, an apartment or room for 3 years, whatever the case may be, for 3 years, 3 years, 3 years. 3 years, yes, or even a year. And then I said, would have clean yourself up, whatever addiction you have, if you're alcoholic, whatever the case may be, you know, reduce it, and get your life back, whatever the case may be, if you want. And I say, if you do what you will with the money, but this is my gift to you, my redemption, your redemption, because everybody deserves second chance, especially to the vets, veterans, especially to the veterans and Canada, US, because I served in the United States Army twice in past lives incarnations, 156 years apart, between 1776 and 1984, between 1776 and 1984, between 1776 and 1984. So that would have been my redemption. That would have been given 50,000 random, and I would have been with like an incognito hoodie, and a lot of my clothes are secondhand. By the way, I'm auctioning 93%. I'm auctioning 93%. I'm auctioning 93% of what you see here, and the boots, of course, by which by March more than all the generals of NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization NATO member countries combined during COVID. More than 45 months since I survived COVID in 2020, February, March, until now. Of course, encouraging all to work out, train, exercise, support the initiative, support the dream. This Aspie independent philosopher, artist, athlete, philosopher, rock and roll for the farmers, for the butchers, for the truckers on the road, 24/7 as you go. My obsessive interest, of course, parallel to geopolitics, is also rock and roll, and I create and write rock and roll songs on the daily. New songs every sunset, every sunrise, and the sunrise to sunset. Geopolitics, sports, fitness, and dancing is my favorite sport. I do dancing choreography, and I dance, and of course, yours truly, Adrian Hanna Dragon Rebirthing. Not officially changed my name yet because you need a little bit of that money to change officially the name. But once I get it, I'm gonna work on that ASAP. Pay my $10,000 debt first. But parallel to speaking about finance, of course, I present on the table the DRT theory, debt refusion theory, which of course I have been producing, and I produced. Of course, I gotta give a shout out to an anonymous person who also deserves to be loved and well off financially, who actually gifted me a few years ago a book which inspired me to write on that financial theory known as the debt refusion theory, DRT, for the creation of the universal exchange unit, the UE, the universal exchange unit, the universal exchange unit, to get it going. For the DRT is the only solution now, is the only solution to what can be done. Where we are with the public finance, my brothers and sisters, and it's a paradox. It is a paradox that I'm able to present now on the table of financial theory, which has to be implemented in Canada ASAP. Whether you're left, right, and center, left, right, and center, left, right, and center, like, or centrist like myself, pro labor and love revolution, universal revolutionary centrism. My universal revolutionary centrism is tied hand in hand with my dream. My dream, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, which is fundamentally a call for a public-private partnership across the collective North American civilizational complex across North America to institutionalize and, of course, the institutionalization of two complementary, covenant, and cooperative institutions. The Dragon Army, aka the North American Citizen Integrated Security and Service, only for security, service, and defense, only for security, service, and defense, only for security, service, and defense, and the DGA Dancing Goddess Army, the DGA Dancing Goddess Army, the DGA Dancing Goddess Army, to dance. And to, of course, for the environment, to plant trees, and clean. So much cleaning to do across the cities, of course, so much recycling, better methods, and learning and education. And it takes action as well. And myself including, I'm also learning, I'm also trying to adopt better recycling practices. And that's about it, rock and roll by that. But the paradox is that my DRT theory is the only solution. I'm going to briefly discuss it now, briefly, in a more simple form, of course, because due to Asperger's, also known as HFA, high functioning autism, there is an impulse and a symptom for Aspies like myself to utilize too much sophisticated academic and scholarly language when things can be more simply explained. So that's a symptom that as Aspies and Aspie, of course, I have to work myself not to utilize and the functionality of linguistics, which are too academic or scholarly for the implementation or the simplification of certain protocols or initiatives which can be more simplified in simple terms. So the DRT, debt refusion theory, the DRT, debt refusion theory, has to be implemented across the collective due to the fact, of course, that we need to implement it. Why am I making that statement? Is because now we pay 46.5 billion in interest, 46.5 billion in interest. That is the amount of interest on the public debt of Canada. So in 2020, 2021 fiscal year, it was 20.3 times 2, that's 40.6, 40.6 billion. That would have been double. It's more than double. It's 46.5 billion, 46.5 billion. It's 46.5 billion. That's 46,000 million, 46,000 million. That's how much debt servicing, in other words, paying the interest on the public debt, is today. That's how much we pay in interest. So my DRT theory for the creation of the UE, it is important to note that my debt refusion theory also contains monetary integration theory. Monetary integration theory is, of course, the theory which was implemented in the European Union by the creation of the European Central Bank, the ECB, European Central Bank, and of course the destruction of the German Central Bank, the French Central Bank of France, Central Bank of Italy as well, and they created created the Concordium and they created a new central bank and they issue a new currency back in the 90s. They started with the euro. So my DRT theory also includes monetary integration theory, which is the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union. So that's why I'm calling my I call her Auntie Chrystia Freeland, Auntie Minister of Finance, of course. It's a non-sectarian, basically non-sectarian, and of course non-partisan theory which must be implemented. There's no other way out of this, out of the public finance. My DRT theory has to be implemented. We pay 46.5 billion in interest. So we're going to take all the debt, public and private. My private debt as a citizen is $10,000. We're going to take all the debt, all that debt, public and private, is going to be the new money in circulation for a new central bank, but we're going to do the conversion to US dollars. Because the United States dollar still is the currency of choice for world trade, international business, global finance, import, export, tourism, other such matters under the sun. But of course, we're going to take all the debt. That money is going to be the initial money supply for a new central bank. So we're going to set an interest rate level thereafter of 10%. 10%, it could be less, 3.33, 7.18, 9.3, 7.70, 6.1, or 9.3, whatever the case may be, below 10% by principle. So all that money is going to be the initial money supply for a new central bank, and we're going to issue a currency called the UE. U dot universal E dot exchange unit. U dot universal E dot exchange unit. The UE based on the US dollar. U dot universal E dot exchange unit. Universal exchange unit. The UE, we're going to create the UE, the new currency based on the value of the US dollar. By all the debt, all the public and the private debt is going to be the money in circulation. All the money in circulation, that's the DRT, is going to finance, be the money, the initial money supply for a new central bank. That's simplified. So again, shout out to an anonymous friend who I wish I would donate $1 million to for gifting me that, more than $1 million, but $1 million if I would donate to that anonymous person who gifted me that book. Like, it was on Christmas Day. It was on Christmas, 24th or 25th of December. I think I opened it at midnight on the 25th or on the 24th. It was called something, it was a bit conspiratorial, but it had financial facts, but it was a bit on the conspiratorial, esoteric, occult, esoteric, conspiratorial. So I kind of creative. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but that was a little bit with that, but it had real financial information in it. Nonetheless, it was a bit on the conspiratorial, occult, mystic, occult, esoteric, conspiratorial side, a bit on the fantastical side, but it has some real financial knowledge about ancient Rome and present modern day China, post Mao Zedong's China, People's Republic of China, and the finance of China, and the finance of Rome, and the finance of Europe, of ancient Britain. And it had many from ancient times, ancient Egypt, ancient Rome. It brought to the modern era in the 21st century. It was written somewhere in 2009. So that was the book that inspired me, and I don't have it because I read it like 7 times. And I wrote on it so much I used it, and I meditated on it in taking baths, and that's when my DRT kind of came to me. The DRT, debt refusion theory. So the debt refusion theory is, of course, the DRT, debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE, the universal exchange unit, for the creation of the UE, the universal exchange unit, the U dot universal E dot exchange unit, the universal exchange unit. That is the only solution. Now, there's no out of this. You can argue all you want, and I'm scolding on the Bank of Canada, Tiff Mackler, my uncle, I would say Tiff Mackler, brother uncle Tiff Mackler, to support this across North America. Canada first, US after. It could be expanded, transatlantic, blah blah blah, NATO, NORAD, NATO, but Canada, US, Mexico, if they will, Haiti, Dominican Republic. Cuba is a paradox, but Cuba is part of the North American civilizational complex. Cuba is part of the North American civilizational complex, or the complex of North American civilizational complex. So all the debt, public and private debt, is going to be the initial money start. My brothers and sisters, it has more than doubled in 3 years due to COVID to pay the interest on the public debt. This is going to be a collapse. There's no possible solution to this. We're not going to be able to pay the firefighters, all the public works, the firefighters, of course, the sanitation, the garbage collectors, the recycling collectors, the compost collectors, all those cleaning the streets, the public institutions. That's why it's a public-private partnership. We can't privatize everything. We cannot. It has to be a public-private partnership. That's the 21st century. Skunkordium Supreme, that's what I'm calling on my Scorpio brother Bill Gates. Scorpio brother Bill Gates, Scorpio brother Bill Gates. It is Scorpio month until the 23rd of November. So we got it going for a few more days, 11 days or so. But my brother Scorpio Bill Gates, brother Scorpio Black Rock and Blackstone is Larry Fink, another Scorpio. And of course another Scorpio is Joe Biden. Joe Biden, 3 Scorpios, doesn't matter. It can be Sagittarius, Pisces, Leos, whatever the case astrologically may be. But Joe Biden, Scorpio, Bill Gates, Scorpio, Larry Fink, Scorpio. And I'm just saying because there are Scorpios because I'm a mystic as well. It doesn't matter the astrological sign. It's because we're under the sign of the Scorpio. And in the coming days, I'm going to discuss a little bit of sexuality on my marches, and sexual healing, and whatever the case may be, liberation and healing and understanding. But now it's not the case for now. Now we got to get that DRT, debt refusion tree is the only solution, my brothers and sisters. I'm excited because it's the solution. And as Aspies, we usually focus with solutions. You know, my solution, there's no medication for Asperger's, for high-functioning autistics like myself. The only solution is, of course, to work on the symptoms and be mindful. And now in the past years, I've been working a lot on it. And I'm mindful that I'm neurodivergent and different. So when I interact with others, I have to let some people know. And some people know. I say, yeah, I have somebody who's an Aspie. And it can be difficult until, of course, you get to understand it and work on it. But we have strengths. We have very much strengths. And usually our strengths are involved in our obsessive interests, and my holy trinity of obsessive interests is geopolitics, the study, the analysis of geopolitics 24/7. Sports, rock and roll, fitness, dancing is my favorite sport. Dancing is my favorite sport. Dancing is my favorite sport. Dancing is my favorite sport, but parallel to dancing is also rock and roll. So I do geopolitics, rock and roll, and dance. So that's my holy trinity, and part of my marching dance works for many years now, since COVID, and celebrating 7 years since I crossed Canada coast to coast. That event made me establish a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians, 40 plus million. You are family. I consider you family Quebecers, and I'm gonna play that defense. I would be the first one to go join if there's ever an invasion, foreign invasion, or whatever the case. Fomentation by foreign non-NATO aligned diaspora, hostile non-NATO aligned hostile diasporas, non-NATO aligned hostile diaspora, non-NATO North Atlantic Treaty Organization hostile diaspora groups who might, of course, foment internal civil war or civil strife or XYZ. I will be the first one to defense only, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, defense only, like that hardball ball, aka blackout ball, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, across the North American complex, across the complex of the North American Collectif, and coast to coast, ocean to ocean, defense. My defensive protocols, I'm not going to go into in depth, because of course I will discuss them in the coming days, weeks, and months, including my call for the Operation Northern Scorpio, because there's a scorpion, of course, which comes from Mexico, Canada, US, the only real scorpion, not only astrologically, but there's a scorpion who reaches Canada. It's called the Northern Scorpio. So the Northern Scorpio operation, which I'm calling for implementation, public-private partnership, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, and of course to have the North American hawk. So the scorpion and the hawk gotta work together like the snake and the lion, and like the snake and the lion, the left and the right, sometimes in the center. My public-private partnerships, my dream is fundamentally a call for a massive public-private partnership, and with that DRT implementing my debt refusion tree, we're going to be able to rebuild the infrastructure of North America. We're going to be able to implement the North American infrastructure. We're going to be able to implement the North American infrastructure. Going to be able to implement the rebuilding of the North American infrastructure, build more hydroelectric dams, finance citizens to work out, train, exercise, mass finance tourism across North America, because it did me some good, and I want to go see. The next thing I really want to go see is the Bay James hydroelectric projects, the Bay James hydroelectric project here in Canada. Go to Banff again, and of course cross Canada again, this time by train, coast to coast by train, because I only went from Montreal by train to Halifax by train, and from Montreal to Vancouver by bus, Montreal, Vancouver, 2017. And of course I want to see the Grand Canyon. I will to see the Grand Canyon in the USA, where I was born 3 times, once as a woman, twice as a man, in the past, post 1776, between 1776 and 1940, 1938, 39, 39. So rock and roll with that. And of course I'm going to discuss the movie now, The Professor. I'm going to discuss the movie review, The Professor, The Professor with Johnny Depp. I saw it with an anonymous friend a few days ago, actually during the weekend. So about 5 days ago, almost 5 days, I guess. Night time, almost 5 days. Night time was going to be night, because it's Thursday today, and course, I gotta give a shout out to those who are gonna pick up the compost, because I worked on the compost project when I initiated it about 6 years ago. I had a few months, like 3.5 months. I had a few months of work with the compost. So that when it got started, I was the one who distributed, part of the team, of course, who distributed of course, the bins, and of course the other material, the information, knocking door to door. So a few weeks, a few months, and of course that was a contract based. And one thing with Aspies is, of course, until we get established or making, we have chronic, short-lived employment, chronic unemployment, and it's something that I suffered myself from. And till I'm in debt. I am financially struggling, but I'm open for business 24/7, and it's understanding my condition in the past 45 months now, almost 45 months, more than 3.5 years. I got this mark, of course, another kind of victory on the side, that I stopped watching pornography. I stopped watching pornography about 45 months ago, also 45 months, more than 3 years, more than 3 years ago, about 45 months ago or so. So it's been more than 3 years. I stopped, not out of morality or out of judgment. It's just because I stopped and I adapted, like, my own. I androgynous pansexual. I am androgynous pansexual. LGBTQ, rainbow, black and white, and rainbow, played black and white or rainbow 24/7, played black and white or rainbow. But that is what it is. Played 24/7, black and white or rainbow. Please give to charity, millionaires, billionaires, and please go incognito, give some charity, go incognito, give everybody a second chance, and reduce the tickets cost. Give tickets to the public workers, NFL, National Football League, NHL, National Hockey League, NBA, National Basketball Association, MLB, millionaires, whoever you are. Let's go, Beyonce. Let's go incognito, put a hoodie on, give some charity random. That's my call now during these times until Donald Trump gets inaugurated. Put some money where your mouth is. Put some money where your mouth is. Put some money where your mouth is. And, I got kisses by the trains. I got kisses by the trains. I got kisses by the trains. Tiny hands, tiny feet, tiny little androgynous clit, dick clit, tiny. With the goddess blessing, sometimes rock it up. Rainbow. Scars. I got plenty of scars on my body, on the face, on the body, on my androgynous. I discussed them openly, and of course, I've been healed in the past years by an alternative cream. I scratch less. And I have to be mindful, my scars and my. I'm hyper vigilant also when I go into public, and hyper vigilant kind of 24/7, because I survived a few years ago. I was attacked by surprise, vicious in the metro, vicious surprise cowardly attack, and vicious surprise cowardly attack in the Montreal metro, vicious cowardly surprise attack in the Montreal metro, vicious cowardly attack in the Montreal metro. I fell, I hit my head, and I had a dislocated shoulder. I went to the hospital, and I had my Syrian pirate episode. And that's what it is with that. And I survived that. I survived COVID. I survived being depressed, and I'm still financially stressed, but got trillions of kisses. Anybody wants to get trillions of kisses? Kisses I got. We gotta get around that melody for XYZ. That's what we gotta get doing. And please give some charity. Let's go Beyonce. Let's go Taylor Swift. Let's go whatever, Eminem. Let's go Dwayne Johnson. I love you, Dwayne Johnson. A little bit more of that rainbow love for Dwayne Johnson. A little bit of more of that rainbow love for Dwayne Johnson. He's first on the list. If you want to come, consent. But anyways, you're number one on my list, Dwayne Johnson. Numero uno. And of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger, whatever the case may be. And whatever the case may be, give some try. Go incognito. That's my call to fellow North Americans, billionaires and millionaires. Until December 24th. Go disguised and hoodie, take some cash, take some checks, take some cash, and give to people. This is your second chance. You can turn your life over with 50,000. Rent a room, put money down for a house, rent a hotel room for a few months, whatever, and get an apartment for 2-3 years, and whatever. Encourage you to change your life. Hygiene and working out, training, exercise. This is your second chance. This is my redemption. I made millions, billions, thanks to millions of others of people in North America, and it's not all about Wall Street buy, sell, trade. It's, you gotta be I'm not totally selfless. I'm not totally selfish, but I would do that. Gotta be more balanced, altruistic, and it's the self and the other. It's always a balance, the self and the others. And with my Asperger's, I'm just geopolitics 24/7, rock and roll 24/7, fitness, sports 24/7. Dancing is my favorite sport, so that's my holy trinity, and that's 24/7 with this Aspie. It's geopolitics, sports, fitness, dancing, and rock and roll. Sports, dancing, and rock and roll, fitness. That's You know, if you're an Aspie, you know what I'm discussing because you have obsessive interest, and that's the preoccupation of my preoccupation for more than 7+ years now. Because uh, I have trouble accessing earlier memory. Then moved here from a very moldy place, and after I survived that attack, and kind of like a blackout of memory, and here I am, and joyous, financially stressed but joyous, and encouraging all with consent, consent, consent. Hug like you never hugged before. Don't start hugging people in the streets. That's not what I said. With consent, hug like you never hugged before. That's the main message. With consent. 20 minutes like a period of hockey. 15 minutes like a quarter of football. Push-ups, hugs, XYZ. Pledge your allegiance, legions to our family, the professor. Pledge your allegiance, legions to our family, the professor. Pledge your allegiance, legions, the professor. The movie, The Professor, Johnny Depp. Please give some charity, Johnny Depp, and producers, blah, 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 blah. Support building the Forgotten Goddess Temple, Forgotten Goddess Temple, Forgotten Goddess Temple. Here in North America on the Canadian-US border and the North American Imperial People's Coliseum. The North American Imperial People's Coliseum, please support it. So let's go for the professor. Whoa, very good movie. I would rate it 4 stars. 4 stars. I would give it close to, I don't know, for me it was close to a 9. Close to a 9. So very good movie. I would say very good movie. Very good movie. A movie that I would enjoy seeing again. Probably a second time, and even a third time, maybe. And I don't do drugs. I still have from like 5 years ago. Still have legal, because I still got it since it got legalized. That's 2019 when pot cannabis became legal in Canada. I think that's the remnant that I have. It's been a while. And, I XYZ, but I still have it. But if I maybe gonna on the full moon, or maybe finally use it during the weekend and watch it again. But The Professor was a great movie. The Professor was a great movie. It explores themes of impending death. So what would you do if you know you only have a few months or a few years left? How would you change your life when you're already in your, I think is 50s? He's supposed to be 50s or 60s in the movie The Professor. So he is a professor at a reputable university, business, economics, finance, business, economic, finance, and is a private university, a fancy university. He's got tenure, and he finds out that he has cancer. So late stage cancer. So you see how he finally changes his life around, and how he starts, for example, drinking more. He even explores cannabis. He explores having homosexual relations. He explores having homosexual relations. He explores, of course, he finds out that his wife, of course, is having an affair, whatever it is, and they kind of funny about it. And the daughter's lesbian. Let's go LGBTQ. The daughter's lesbian, and he's accepting, and that dynamics of the family, and a little bit of the left and the right wing meeting in the center. A little bit of that funny humor, where you make compromises in a marriage, and there's a funny cuckolding, and that was a little bit of funny episode. It's kind of that he accepted. It's kind of almost my take on the dialogue was it kind of accepted it, and they still were happy and joyous. But I guess that could be not a problem in the 21st century. And I say, but being androgynous pansexual who proposed to somebody, I'm gonna propose again, but it'll probably gonna be maybe that would be my ideal marriage, cuckold. Maybe that would be my ideal marriage. Cuckold, cuck. Why not, Uh, if I ever get married, maybe I will my wife to be the reverse of King Solomon. My wife to be the reverse of King Solomon. My wife to be the reverse of King Solomon. So instead of me, the husband, having many wives, me to be the primary groom, the primary husband, and my bride wife to have the harem, like King Solomon in reverse, because he supposedly had hundreds of wives, but there's a mystery there that's not quite, because there's two numbers given. So actually the mystery there is that they were not actually wives. The second number that's given, 300 there, they were actually priestesses of the goddess. Because it says there in Kings, it's written on 1 Kings 3 that Solomon married Pharaoh's daughter. Solomon married Pharaoh's daughter. So that's a mystery, because the pharaohs of that time, in 3,000 years ago, when supposedly King Solomon lived, the kings, the dynasty. Then they kind of intermarried, so Solomon had to somehow be related. So that's the mystery there. It was the ancient Egyptian institutions and whatever past lives incarnation I had back then. But that's a great mystery there, because the pharaohs of that time, they would have not given their daughter in marriage unless they were related somehow. So, and of course, it goes back to the mysteries of the Bible, which we don't really. There's mysteries there, right? And the mysteries. Just read Genesis chapter 50. Just read Genesis chapter 50. Just read Genesis chapter 50. Anyways, today the Professor 2019 production is a great movie. I want to see it again. So there's funny moments, and of course it explores the themes of how you would change your behavior and your actions and how you would think about it in case you would know that your death is coming. So he becomes way more relaxed, way more liberal, way more laissez-faire, way more, many ways, yeah. He also explores sexuality, and he kind of drinks and smokes pot with the students, and he offers them a passing grade, but says you don't have to stay if you never read a book in your life. That's a funny movie. If you never read a book in your life because you wanted to, not because you had to. If you never read a book in your life because you wanted to, not because you had to. I think that's like maybe not the same exact words by words, but verbatim. But it says if you never read a book in your life by your own will, then you might as well leave and I'll give you a C, something like that. So it's funny. I recommend it. I recommend the movie The Professor. It's a bit deep, also intellectual, comedy, humor, has a little bit of everything, love, and exploring there's a little bit of a funny, the funny part where he says his wife asks if his genitalia, penis, still works, and doesn't give a clear answer. So that is that they didn't have sex for a while, and they kind of laugh and have joy together. And after they drink together, he says, to your cuckolding, and says, yeah. And whatever the case may be, and some people are okay with that type of marriage, and there can be still love, but it can be love and understanding, and then it can be sexuality for satisfaction of both the consenting adults. It can be something which can be 21st century. It's not a pop problem. I actually wrote a rock and roll song for the cucks, cucks. It can be black, white, and rainbow, and men and women. It's not just for men and women. It can be black, white, and rainbow, and men and women. It's not just for men and women. It can be black and white and rainbow, whatever the case may be. But that's what it is, and that's a great movie, and it explores that theme, of course, LGBTQ themes and family, and also a little bit of a class and whatever have you. And it's a great movie. And it explores a lot of themes, whatever case may be. And the doctor gives him about a year. He said about a year to live, because he's late stage cancer. So it shows how he changes his attitude to teaching, to the family, to XYZ. So my will is, of course, to have a Thelemik, the love Telema. Bury me with Papa Crawley up in Hampton, New Jersey. A third of me up in the city of the pyramids. A third of me up in Mount Royal. And greater feast. I want joy, dancing, and lots of loving, lots of rainbow loving, to mark my day. I don't want mourning. I want, according to the rights of the book of the law, bury me with it. Naked, but with the book. Preferably the original manuscript, which is lost for 5 years, was lost from 1904, 1909, was lost for 5 years. 1904, 1909 was lost for 5 years. 1904, 1909 was lost for 5 years, and it was found again in 1984, Yeah. Anyways, rock and roll 24/7. Gonna sing a little bit for an anonymous friend who wasn't my friend because of the money, 'cause I never had any. Where there's bees, there's honey. Gotta get it for the liquor, gotta get it for the bigger, gotta get it for the looks, gotta get it for the troops, for that native, for the free. Got freedom tatted, but it ain't easy. Freedom gotta be insured with those kisses and those hugs. It's not all about fight. Somebody gotta make me some love. It's not all about fight. Somebody better make me some love. It's not all about fight. Somebody make me some love. Don't get it twisted. I play by the law of that dragon. Nobody's born a dragon. May I be avenged sevenfold. May I be avenged 7 times sevenfold. Do the math, the calculation. May I be avenged that 7 times sevenfold. May you do the calculations. I roam free up in the island. You want some kisses? I got it. You want some hugs? I got it. Whether you black or white or rainbow. May I be avenged that sevenfold though. Rock and roll up in the gold. Build the forgotten goddess temple. And that North American collective rock and roll for the Coliseum. I ain't got $1 in my pocket. Gotta be a new table for the kisses, for the daycare workers changing diapers, for the truckers on the road, for the construction workers going on steel toes, for those in the fast food changing up some of those hamburgers, cheeseburgers, making up some sausage, for the teachers, for the warehouse workers, and those in the cashier workers. Gotta give me some of that cleaning, for the public workers gone on the road, for the railroad drivers, for the bus drivers, the bus up in the public transit. Gotta give a thing for all. Hey, gotta give some of those dancing moves up in the sun, up in the satellites, up in the sky, up in the sky, up in the stars you see, the blue and the ice you see, and rock and roll until I led to the mountain that you see. For the verbosity, for the Aspie, yeah, you know I can do it on the left and right and center you can see. And now for the French, because we love belle province. Let's go for that French rock and roll. Grateful, thankful. My rent's paid, electricity bills paid, got food and coffee. Rent's paid, electricity bills paid, got food and coffee. Rent's paid, electricity bills paid, got food and coffee. And you know I rock and roll at 24/7 for the butchers. Also got to think salutations, to the truckers on the road, firefighters, LOV firefighters, and XYZ. We got to reconcile across the North American collective in a centrist manner, public-private partnerships for the dream. The dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, the dream for the North American collective civilizational complex, for the North American civilizational complex, for the North American civilizational complex, for the public workers, for the butchers, for all my allies and armies, pledge your allegiance, kisses I got by the plenty, by the trillions, and let's rock and roll with that. For the French, Français, bienvenue dans la grotte de dragon arc-en-ciel avec gratitude. Le café rock and roll de votre dragon arc-en-ciel, aspie artiste, artiste, philosophe qui vous chante le plus de ma grotte de dragon arc-en-ciel à la montagne. Je vous encourage à faire l'entraînement physique québécoise. Les mains dans les airs, pas besoin de trop. On vit avec le soleil, le papa qui chante, puis ça danse. Puis les travailleurs publics qui ramassent les poubelles, merci, bonjour, puis ça va te dans les gratte-ciel, que ça monte jusqu'en haut. Avec les grues, ça monte, plus d'étages, des étages. À l'étalage, puis du béton, du ciment, puis ça prend juste du doux. Pas juste basé sur le Louis Cyr, il faut bien avoir de la Céline. Sur la colline, c'est plein de mon oncle. Le go, des fois je m'entends, 50-50 sur la table, pas besoin de l'eau bénite, mais de la bière, du Québec à la belle province avec du vin puis du fromage, puis on a des courges, ça s'en vient, on est en novembre. Québécois, Québécoise, je vous envoie de l'amour, puis bien sûr, je vous encourage à faire de l'entraînement physique. L'entraînement physique a été sur ma médecine et thérapie de choix, votre artiste, athlète, philosophe, Aspie, j'ai l'Asperger, fait que c'est une condition de neurodivergence mentale, ça veut dire que j'ai l'autisme hautement fonctionnel, je suis neurodivergent, j'ai quand même des choses que je suis bizarre, mais je suis bon dans le rock and roll, la géopolitique, puis l'entraînement physique. La danse, c'est mon intérêt obsessif. On a des intérêts obsessifs. Les aspies, les autismes hautement fonctionnels, on a des intérêts obsessifs. Puis dans ces intérêts-là, ça préoccupe notre cerveau, notre psychique, tout notre être, hein, toute notre force vers ces intérêts obsessifs la plupart du temps. Fait que c'est 24/24, l'analyse, la théorie en géopolitique avec moi-même, la danse, le sport, l'entraînement physique, puis bien sûr le rock and roll. C'est mes intérêts obsessifs, c'est ça qui préoccupe la plupart de mes jours. C'est ça que je fais 24/24 depuis bien des années, bien sûr. Je suis Asperger, je suis neurodivergent, c'est pas une condition de maladie mentale, c'est une condition de neurodivergence. Je vis avec, comme je vis avec mes cicatrices, la perte de mémoire de ma jeunesse, l'enfance, puis l'adolescence, puis tout ça, mais je m'en souviens bien sûr d'aujourd'hui, puis de demain pour l'espoir que vous voyez pour demain, j'ai de l'espoir, puis je vous encourage à faire l'entraînement physique, ça a tellement fait du bien. Quand j'ai commencé mon entraînement physique, mon conditionnement physique en 2017, ça fait 7 ans, ça fait 7 ans, ça fait 7 ans. En 2017, j'ai traversé le Canada de côte à côte, puis j'étais en dépression, j'étais suicidaire, c'était événement, ça m'a fait sortir de la dépression, puis j'ai dit, bien, wow, tellement de choses à faire, à voir au Canada, au Québec, que j'ai sorti de la dépression, j'ai commencé à m'entraîner, j'étais allé de côte à côte, j'ai commencé à établir, à fonder un esprit de corps solide, un esprit de corps solide, un esprit de corps solide avec ma famille, veut pas, vous êtes ma famille, le Québec, le Québécois, puis c'est avec le Canada, puis les Nord-Américains, l'Amérique du Nord, puis bien sûr, je vous considère une famille, même si des fois, on s'entend pas mais, sur des choses, mais des fois, on fait du compromis, on donne, puis on remet ça à table, puis on négocie, puis on compromis, mais bien sûr, je suis quelqu'un qui n'aime pas la violence, je n'aime pas la violence, je n'aime pas la violence, je suis intense, tout ça, mais je suis aussi hyper vigilant, puis je suis quand même qui s'est entraîné beaucoup, mais je suis pour la défense seulement. Je serai le premier à vous défendre s'il y aurait une invasion externe, une invasion, la fomentation interne par des groupes ou d'autres groupes dans des situations de fomentation, des conflits internes dans le collectif nord-américain, dans l'Amérique du Nord, par bien sûr des pays non alignés avec l'OTAN. L'OTAN, c'est l'Alliance militaire de défense, donc on fait partie de l'OTAN. L'OTAN, c'est l'Organisation transatlantique du Nord, bien sûr, puis on est 32 pays, puis là, on a dans le complexe nord-américain. Fait que aujourd'hui, je vais discuter un peu qu'est-ce que je ferais si je serais millionnaire maintenant, mais je dois dire que je vis une crise financière en ce moment. Je vis une crise financière, mais je suis quand même joyeux parce que l'entraînement physique puis la gratitude, c'est important pour moi, pour la santé mentale, tu sais, parce que la gratitude, là, même si j'ai une grosse. Ici, je vois bien sûr que depuis que je suis mort de la COVID, je dis je suis mort dans un sens que ici, ou que vous me voyez maintenant, j'ai eu la COVID. J'étais sur le lit pendant comme 22 jours. C'était comme la mort, la pestilence puis la maladie. C'était comme la mort, la pestilence puis la maladie. C'était comme la mort, la pestilence puis la maladie en 2020, en février-mars. Puis je renais depuis ce temps-là. Je renais, puis je peux dire en 2017 aussi, quand j'ai traversé le Canada. Puis ayant survécu la COVID, le tronc, puis je vis avec mes cicatrices, puis sur la face, le visage, sur le corps. Puis l'autisme hautement fonctionnel, soit aussi nommé avec comme l'Asperger's, en étant Aspie, faisant partie d'une minorité. Je dois faire la gestion de mes symptômes parce qu'il n'y a pas de médicaments pour l'Asperger, c'est juste faire la gestion de mes symptômes. Mes symptômes qui sont bien sûr qui font partie que je m'approche trop proche des gens dans la conversation. Des fois, j'ai des mouvements bizarres du corps. Des fois, bien sûr, je répète 2, 3 fois la même chose. Ou un autre symptôme, c'est l'écholélia. Ça veut dire que je vais répéter des fois, c'est pas constamment, c'est pas en constance, mais des fois, je répète 2, 3 fois la même chose. Que quelqu'un me dit quelque chose, une phrase, je vais répéter la phrase 2, 3 fois, ou je vais répéter la même phrase exactement telle qu'elle. Fait que ça peut offenser certains gens qui ne savent pas c'est quoi, on démystifie de plus en plus. C'est quoi l'autisme hautement fonctionnel, l'Asperger's, donc c'est ça que je vis avec. Puis depuis comme 44 mois et plus, je commence à travailler sur mes symptômes parce qu'encore une fois, il n'y a pas de médicaments. Fait que, avec les aspects, il faut nous le dire plus directement. Puis d'arrêter de parler ou en bon québécois. Ferme ton ta gueule, ferme ton ta gueule, ferme ton ta gueule, ferme ton ta gueule. J'ai fait une chance. Parce que je ris de moi-même. Je vous donne la permission de rire, bien sûr, parce que la comédie puis l'humour, des fois, je comprends pas un certain comédie puis l'humour, mais quand même, j'ai appris à rire de moi-même aussi, puis dans le contexte de neurodivergence, puis avec de faire la gestion de mes symptômes, puis savoir que je suis différent de la norme dans cette neurodivergence, mais c'est pas une maladie mentale, encore une fois, c'est une condition de neurodivergence, puis les aspis, on a des forces, puis même je dis que la géopolitique, je suis un analyste et théoricien indépendant en géopolitique du point de vue que j'ai prévu la situation actuelle qui se déroule maintenant, je l'ai prévu en 2019, j'ai la preuve, j'ai la vidéo. En 2019, j'ai prévu une conflagration internationale, une troisième guerre mondiale, j'ai prévu une troisième guerre mondiale, soit une conflagration internationale, j'ai prévu une troisième guerre mondiale, soit une troisième guerre mondiale. En 2019, là, en 2019, je l'ai prévu, je l'ai prévu en 2019, ça fait quand même un longtemps. Pas si longtemps que ça, 5 ans, là. Mais en 2019, je l'ai prévu parce que j'ai basé mes philosophies pour faire un petit résumé. J'ai prévu. Un résumé, c'est vu du fait, j'ai pris en considération un point majeur de mon analyse, que vu au fait qu'il y a bien des régions, des pays puis des civilisations qui n'ont pas été capables de résoudre leurs conflits qui dataient du 20e siècle, ou peut-être de la guerre froide, il va avoir, ça va reprendre, ces conflits-là vont reprendre dans le 21e siècle. Fait que c'est ça qui arrive en ce moment. Fait que ça, c'est un résumé, bien sûr, qu'il y a bien des détails sur mon analyse que j'ai faite majeure en 2019, puis que j'avais conclu qu'on se dirige, l'humanité, on se dirige encore vers une conflagration internationale, une troisième guerre mondiale. Puis bien sûr, c'est ça qui arrive, pas en chaque détail, mais de manière générale, c'est ça qui arrive avec la Russie et l'Ukraine, au Moyen-Orient, l'Israël-Palestine, puis un potentiel, la Chine puis le Taïwan. C'est trois conflits majeurs dans des points différents des civilisations puis dans le monde. C'est possible là, que la Chine envahisse le Taïwan, qui est la République populaire de la Chine de 1,4 milliard de personnes, d'habitants, de citoyens, avec l'île de Taïwan. C'est possible. C'est des conflits qui n'ont pas été capables d'être résolus, comme ici en Amérique du Nord, qu'est-ce que j'appelle en tant que philosophe le grand collectif de civilisation de l'Amérique du Nord. On a été capable de résoudre les problèmes, puis nos problèmes par certains compromis qu'on a fait. On a fait qu'est-ce que j'appelle le grand compromis linguistique du français. C'est sûr que des fois, il y a des tensions. On donne sa table, on remet, puis on met des lois, puis tout ça, puis on fait l'encouragement. Moi, c'est pas l'encouragement. Puis si vous faites un effort, ben, faites un effort. Et vice-versa, si vous ne parlez pas l'anglais, faites un effort. Regardez le film Bon Cop, Bad Cop, le premier puis le deuxième, puis faisons ensemble le troisième. Écoutez des chansons de Céline Dion en anglais puis en français. C'est faire un effort. Des fois, c'est l'effort qu'il faut aussi dire, ben vous avez fait un effort, mais je vous commande pour cet effort. Vous avez fait un beau effort, vous avez fait un bon effort. L'encouragement, parce que, mes chers Québécois et Québécoises, ça prend un devoir aussi de nous autres de le faire aussi, de la manière qu'on fasse, parce qu'on aime le français, mais c'est aussi l'amour du français qu'il faut mettre en valeur d'une manière aussi, tu sais, peut-être pas toujours être trop agressif, pas toujours être trop, un peu de comédie, puis tu sais, la culture du Québec, c'est quand même pas mal la comédie, dans belle province 24/24, là, tu sais. Moi, c'est comme ça, je vois plus notre culture un peu de comédie, peut-être pas 24/24, mais quand même, on est quand même des comédiens pas mal au Québec, puis on aime se rire, puis notre façon d'être quand même, tu sais, c'est une façon d'être qu'il faut accommoder, faire des accommodements, puis faire l'encouragement des gens, tu sais, pas toujours chialer puis crier après, là, le monde, là, tu sais, c'est sûr, ça en prend, parce que, tu sais, les Québécois, on peut être impatient un peu, puis on peut être en feu un peu, puis on peut être un peu, un peu chatouille un peu, mais, tu sais, on est de même, mais... Il faut faire un compromis aussi. Ça prend un effort, du donne, puis on donne, mais il faut se rencontrer au centre des fois, tu sais. Tu sais, comme je dis, c'est par, mettons, moi, ma proposition, c'est faisons un film, bon cop, faisons la troisième partie du film Bon Cop, Bad Cop, faisons la troisième partie du film Bon Cop, Bad Cop, faisons la troisième partie où que je vous me donnez un petit rôle de 5 minutes, je chante puis je danse, en français puis en anglais, puis je chante, puis ça, je change une phrase en anglais, une phrase en français, vice-versa, en anglais, en français, en anglais, en français, en anglais. C'est ça mon rêve, un petit 5 minutes dans le film 3, Bon Cop, Bad Cop 3, là. S'il vous plaît, j'aurais aimé être millionnaire. Si vous êtes millionnaire, milliardaire, Céline Pelado, s'il vous plaît, encouragez la victoire. C'est notre équipe de sport féminin, la Ligue professionnelle du sport féminin que j'aime bien. La prochaine dépense, dès que j'ai de l'argent, je paye ma dette de 10 000, puis bien sûr, j'achète le chandail du sport de la victoire. La victoire. Du sport du hockey féminin, de la victoire, ça je veux bien. Moi j'aime bien. Moi c'est la danse, mon sport préféré. Là. Moi c'est la danse, mon sport, je danse. Je peux danser pendant des heures, là, mais j'adore le hockey, le sport féminin, puis la boxe aussi, bien sûr que. Je challenge Donald Trump sur la frontière Canada-États-Unis. Ça fait des années depuis que Donald Trump a imposé des tarifs sur l'aluminium, l'aluminium, puis l'acier, bien sûr. Puis j'ai vécu aux États-Unis dans d'autres incarnations. Moi, vous savez, je suis mystique. Puis j'ai été né ici sur l'île de Montréal plusieurs fois. Québécois, Québécoises, des fois hommes, des fois femmes. Aujourd'hui, ben, vous avez l'arc-en-ciel, des fois monsieur et madame. Des fois monsieur et madame, des fois monsieur et madame 50-50. Centriste, par exemple, philosophe artiste, qui vous propose la théorie de la refusion de la dette, qui, je vous présente un paradoxe. Sur la table, c'est la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. C'est la seule et unique solution en ce moment, vu au fait qu'on paye tellement d'intérêts sur la dette publique. On paye 46,5 milliards sur la dette publique. On paye 46,5 milliards sur la dette publique. 46,5 milliards. On paye 20,3 en 2020, 2021. 20,3 fois 2, c'est 40,6. On est rendu à payer 46,5 milliards sur la dette publique. Imaginez-vous comment on paye d'intérêts sur la dette publique. C'est tellement énorme qu'on paye, ça a plus que doublé en 3 ans. Je vous présente un paradoxe, la théorie de la refusion de la dette, il faut faire l'implémentation. Mon oncle Legault, mon cousin Justin Trudeau au Canada, premièrement, puis après ça, à travers le collectif nord-américain, faisons. Puis bien sûr, je vais la discuter un peu maintenant, vite, parce que je suis dessus. Encore une fois, c'est un paradoxe, mais je vous présente sur la table la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, puis c'est la seule et unique solution. Vous pouvez vous ostiner tant que vous voudrez, mais il n'y a pas d'autre solution que la TRD. C'est quoi la TRD? Théorie de la refusion de la dette, c'est T, théorie, R, refusion de la dette. Ma théorie, théorie de la refusion de la dette, ça contient la théorie d'intégration monétaire. La théorie d'intégration monétaire, c'est la théorie qui a fait l'implémentation en Europe. Les Européens, des années 80, ont détruit leur banque centrale dans l'Allemagne, en France, en Italie. Ils ont fait la création d'une nouvelle banque centrale. Ils ont fait la création d'une nouvelle banque centrale, puis en même ça, ils ont fait la création de l'euro, une nouvelle monnaie. Ils n'ont plus de Deutschmark, ils n'ont plus de lira, ils n'ont plus de francs. Ils ont adopté ça il y a bien longtemps, des années 90. Bien sûr, MATRD, ça inclut cette théorie. Fait que c'est quoi? Je vous l'expliquer le plus simplement possible parce qu'un des symptômes de l'Asperger, c'est qu'on utilise des mots trop sophistiqués, intellectuels ou académiques quand que des choses peuvent être expliquées d'une manière plus simple. Fait que je vais être le plus simple possible. Fait qu'on doit prendre toute la dette publique-privée. Ma dette de 10 000, ta dette, votre dette, toute la dette publique-privée de côte à côte. Hein. On doit mettre tout ça ensemble, on fait la conversion dans la devise des États-Unis de toute la dette publique privée canadienne. Puis pourquoi je dis que ma théorie, c'est la seule solution, c'est quand on paye tellement d'intérêts sur la dette publique, on ne sera plus que c'est une crise, urgence, on ne pourra plus payer les pompiers, on ne pourra plus payer les services publics, le ramassage des poubelles, le ramassage du compostage, le ramassage des poubelles, du compostage, on ne pourra plus payer ça. C'est le service public. Ça prend un partenariat public-privé. Mon rêve, le royaume de la déesse et du dragon qui danse, c'est fondamentalement un appel à un partenariat public-privé. C'est fondamentalement un appel à un partenariat public-privé. C'est fondamentalement un appel à un partenariat public-privé, bien sûr. C'est ça, fondamentalement. C'est un appel à un partenariat public-privé. C'est fondamentalement un appel à un partenariat public-privé. C'est fondamentalement un appel à un partenariat public-privé. C'est ça, fondamentalement, un PPP. Mon rêve, le rêve du royaume du dragon et de la déesse qui danse. C'est ça, fondamentalement. Fait qu'on doit reprendre toute la dette publique-privée, toute la dette publique-privée, mon 10 000, incluant mon 10 000, on doit faire la refusion ensemble. Tout cet argent-là, ça va faire un chiffre énorme. Tout cet argent-là, la dette publique-privée, on va faire la conversion dans la devise des États-Unis, dans le dollar des États-Unis, et ça va fonder une nouvelle banque qu'on va faire. On va fonder une nouvelle banque. L'argent en circulation, ça va être l'argent de la dette publique-privée. L'argent initial en circulation de cette nouvelle banque de l'Amérique du Nord, parallèle à comme qu'ils ont fait en Europe. C'est là que dans ma TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, ça rentre la théorie d'intégration monétaire, qui est la théorie financière qui a fait de l'implémentation dans l'Europe. Fait que tout cet argent-là, on va faire la refusion, tout cet argent-là, ça va être l'argent initial d'une nouvelle banque. On va faire la création d'une nouvelle monnaie basée sur la valeur des États-Unis qu'on va appeler UI. En anglais, c'est pareil, donc on ne s'ostinera pas. UI. En anglais, c'est pareil, on ne s'ostinera pas. U point, unité, un point échange, U point universel. U point unité, un point échange universel. UI. U point unité, un point échange universel. UI. U point unité, un point échange, U point échange. U point unité, un point échange, U point échange. Unité d'échange universel. Oui. U point unité, un point échange, U point universel. L'unité d'échange universel. On va mettre un taux d'intérêt de 10% maximum. Avec cet argent-là, on va pouvoir financer la reconstruction de l'infrastructure. On va pouvoir rebâtir beaucoup de l'infrastructure de l'Amérique du Nord, bâtir d'autres centrales de l'Hydro-Québec, financer les gens, faire l'entraînement physique, financer les gens au tourisme parce que ça fait du bien pour la renaissance du collectif, puis le bien-être, ça fait tellement du bien, puis on va financer les gens, faire l'entraînement physique, on va pouvoir financer la dette publique, on va pouvoir mettre de la peinture sur, bien sûr, les bancs du Mont-Royal, que je rêve depuis 7 ans, que je rêve de peinturer les bancs de Mont-Royal, mais amenez-moi la peinture, puis le billet de la bureaucratie, les paperasses, là, pour la permission, puis amenez-moi les outils, puis moi je mets la peinture, je les peinture toutes parce que c'est public, puis l'embellissement du public, puis on va pouvoir financer les services publics. Relancer les services publics dans un partenariat public-privé. La TRD, c'est la seule solution. Il faut s'entendre, ce compromis, on paye plus que le double de la dette publique. Je suis content, je suis jovial de pouvoir dire que j'ai une solution à cette affaire, puis c'est un paradoxe, puis je dois dire salutations à un ami anonyme que j'aurais aimé donner 1 million, mais c'est qui m'a donné, je pense que en décembre, pour Noël, décembre 24 ou 25, je l'ai ouvert peut-être à minuit à 25, puis je l'ai lu comme 7 fois, je l'ai lu le livre. Il y avait des choses ésotériques, occultes, un peu de conspiration, là. Je suis pas un conspirationnel, je suis pas dans la théorie de la conspiration, là, mais dans ce livre-là, ça touchait un peu à ça, mais ça avait des faits réels, des finances, l'ancien Rome, l'ancien Égypte, Babylone, jusqu'à l'ère moderne, dans le 20e siècle, puis la fondation de la Banque du Canada, puis la Banque fédérale, puis le système de finances de la République populaire de la Chine, le système de finances de la République populaire de la Chine. Fait que ça m'a inspiré à avoir le concept, Puis la théorie de la refusion de la dette, je vous présente maintenant sur la table, c'est la seule solution, vu qu'on paye 46,5 milliards d'intérêts seulement sur la dette publique, ça a plus que doublé de 2020 à 2021. Il n'y a pas d'autre solution, mes Québécois et Québécoises, mes frères et sœurs, ma famille, je vous le dis, il n'y a pas d'autre solution que la TRD. Il faut faire dans l'Amérique du Nord pour la création de cette nouvelle monnaie basée sur la valeur des États-Unis. Donc, on va mettre un taux d'intérêt maximum de 10%. Ça peut être en bas de 10, mais pas plus après ça. Ça ne va pas pouvoir être plus que 10. Ça ne va pas pouvoir être plus que 10. Par principe, un nouveau principe de prêt préfinancier. 10% maximum, 9,9, 8, 7,7, 3,33, 1,56, 4,18, 6,1, 7,18. En bas de 10 par principe. C'est ça le nouveau principe. Ça va être ça le nouveau principe. C'est la théorie de la refusion de la dette. Il faut faire l'implémentation. C'est la solution, là. Je parle pour le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord parce que je suis un philosophe québécois, canadien, nord-américain. Je suis bien pour la paix mondiale, mais c'est pour mes philosophies, initiatives, puis mon rêve, c'est fondamentalement pour le collectif nord-américain. Puis s'il vous plaît, les travailleurs en construction, je vous admets, puis je veux bâtir le temple de la déesse oubliée que je crédite des milliards de bisous, 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 des milliards de bisous par la déesse oubliée créditée, puis ben du rock'n'roll avec ça. Je veux bâtir le temple de la déesse comme Dieu, déesse, Dieu, déesse, Dieu, déesse, que ça danse, ça prend deux comme le soleil, puis le pape, puis la lune, pour bâtir le temple de la déesse oubliée. Ça, c'est mon rêve avec le Colisée du peuple nord-américain impérial, le Colisée du peuple nord-américain impérial, le Colisée comme un gros aréna, comme un stadium de hockey pour le football américain, un gros Colisée sur la frontière canado-états-unienne, les deux, le temple de la déesse, puis la frontière canado-états-unienne, puis la maison du dragon, simple, austère, pyramide, pyramide, pyramide sur le Mont-Royal en écarlate, rouge, c'est écarlate, c'est le couleur d'écarlate, mais c'est ça mon rêve de bâtir, puis je vous laisse avec du rock'n'roll parce que j'ai encore du ménage à faire, puis du lavage, puis l'entraînement physique, puis du rock'n'roll à composer, puis ben pour faire pour l'emploi, je suis ouvert pour les affaires, je suis ouvert pour les affaires, je suis ouvert pour les affaires, puis prêtez allégeance, les gens, vous êtes famille. Prêtez allégeance, les gens, famille. Prêtez allégeance, les gens, vous êtes famille. Puis on va jouer la défense de côte à côte. Puis salutations aux pompiers. Pompiers, amour aux boulangers, amour aux camionneurs. Ceux qui changent les couches dans les garderies, amour aussi. Ceux qui font les boulangers dans les boulangeries, les électriciens, ceux qui travaillent bien sûr sur les champs de construction, qui construisent bien sûr, okay. Les travailleurs publics qui changent les aqueducs, les chauffeurs de train, d'autobus publics, bien sûr, dans les ports de Montréal, je ne sais pas qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant avec le collectif, puis bien sûr qu'est-ce qui se passe avec les syndicats, mais je fais appel à l'union du syndicat global de l'Amérique du Nord, le syndicat global du Dragon de l'Amérique du Nord, le syndicat global de l'Amérique du Nord, soit le parti travailleur du collectif nord-américain, le parti travailleur du collectif nord-américain, qui en anglais c'est North American Collective Workers Party, le parti des travailleurs de l'Amérique du Nord, le parti des travailleurs du collectif nord-américain, le parti nord-américain du travail collectif. Amour, salutations, je vous encourage à faire l'entraînement physique, prendre le soleil, ça fait tellement du bien, 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 ça fait tellement du bien. Fait, avec amour, je vous laisse, puis c'est important, l'entraînement physique, puis donner à la charité s'il vous plaît, puis donner à la charité si vous êtes millionnaire, milliardaire, j'aurais aimé être milliardaire, comme pouvoir faire de la charité après que l'élection de Donald Trump, bien sûr, ça s'est produit, puis jusqu'au 24 décembre, puis j'aurais aimé donner d'autres chances, j'aurais eu 50 000 $, j'aurais été comme incognito un peu, j'aurais été comme inconnu un peu, donner bien sûr à du monde de l'aide financière pour repartir pour une deuxième chance, parce que moi aussi j'ai eu ma deuxième chance, puis j'ai survécu la COVID, j'ai survécu une attaque un couple d'années dans le métro, j'ai tombé, je me suis cogné la tête, puis j'avais mon bras disloqué, tout ça, fait que je suis un peu hyper vigilant, je vis avec mes cicatrices sur la face, le visage. Mon petit clitopénis, mon petit clitopénis, mon petit clitopénis. En tout cas, faites l'amour avec la comédie, ça prend aussi, puis ça prend aussi. C'est pas juste se battre, hein, ça prend l'amour, c'est pas juste se battre, c'est pas juste, on peut pas se baser tout sur la force, puis le Louis VI, ça prend la comédie, l'amour aussi, le doux, puis l'art, la comédie, puis toutes ces choses-là dans la vie. Fait que je vous laisse avec une chanson de rock'n'roll, de votre aspie artiste, athlète philosophe. Vous êtes prêts? Parce que c'est le rock'n'roll, la géopolitique, puis le sport, soit la danse qui est mon sport préféré. Cette trinité 24 sur 24 avec moi, votre artiste, athlète philosophe, le dragon arc-en-ciel des fois, messieurs, madame, on y va. Hey, 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 Québécois, Québécoises, les mains dans les airs. Dans le 21e siècle, les travailleurs en construction qui ont construit des gratte-ciels. Travail l'Hydro-Québec, et puis ça change des couches dans les galeries, ça danse. Pas besoin de bécherel pour qu'on conjugue. pas besoin d'être trop vulgaire. Vulgaire, hey, pas besoin d'aller en guerre, sauf pour la défense. Sauf pour la défense. Hey, sauf pour la défense. Cheveux longs, ça coupe, ça coupe. Ça sent la coupe qu'ils disent. Ça sent la coupe, je pense qu'on se trompe. Mais peut-être, hey. Et où Louis Cyr, des sanctions vincir, des fromages, c'est Adrien, je vous envoie pour des câlins. C'est Adrien lequel qui dans des villages dans des 17 régions aux îles de la Madeleine. On m'entend avec oups, la baleine, ça change. L'arc-en-ciel, baleine, de la laine. Hey, on danse et puis on tape, des mains de pieds québécoises, qui sont noirs et blancs et arc-en-ciel, qui soient noirs et blancs et arc-en-ciel québécoises, on tape des mains de pieds pour qu'ils nous entendent, qu'on fasse l'amour ici, bâtir des centrales, puis le travail public. Hey, pas besoin de chatouiller, faites attention sur la route, l'autoroute. Bâti bien, des éclairs à coups de tonnerre, du fromage dans les airs, puis des sandwichs à sa face. Du vin, vin. En plein, vin en plein, du fromage, si vous en voulez, ben, les coupilés, avec la fleur de lys, j'aperçois en arc-en-ciel, bleu et blanc dans le ciel, pas besoin de l'eau bénite, le pape, je voulais savoir, le soleil, c'est mon roi, hey, dans la belle province, que ça soit la comédie, que ça soit dans le 21e siècle, il faut un peu de respect pour le 20e, bâtir des centrales, le travail qui ont travaillé pour bâtir cette belle province, puis l'Amérique du Nord qu'on s'attend, ben j'entends rien, si vous me parlez pas d'amour, je deviens sourd. Avec une chanson, mais on lâche la langue un peu, nouveau pied de le mur, un peu nouveau, un peu ancien, nouveau dans le 2024, vers le ciel, ciel éclate, ça chante. C'est vraiment du rock'n'roll 24/24. Avec la géopolitique, l'entraînement physique.